Welcome back, everyone. It's the High School Sports Page brought to you by the Burns Insurance Group. They have offices in Mount Juliet, Nashville, and Franklin. Stop by and get a quote. I think you'll be glad you did. We're going to take a look at our 6A and 5A polls statewide. I had no changes in 6A. Number 1, Maryville. Number 2, Oakland. Number 4, Blackman. All had big wins. Number 3, Whitehaven. And number 5, Cordova. Took the week off. But they're still very much deserving of being in that top 5.
No change in the Mid-State. Murphy, Oakland, Blackman, Ravenwood, Smyrna, all with big wins. Mount Juliet had an open date. Oakland travels to Cookeville as the Cavaliers try to bounce back from a tough loss to Smyrna last week.
In 5A, the same 5 teams, but there was some swapping around from last week. Independence had no trouble with Columbia and are still number 1. Knoxville West's squeaker over a 3 and 4 Heritage team, however, and Morristown West's 50-7 win over Daniel Boone swapped those teams around. Ottawa still number 5 and Oak Ridge still number 3.
It's easy in the Mid-State, as you mentioned, Murphy. Independence rolled over Columbia. Hendersonville, Centennial, Beach, and Henry County all had open dates last week.
And our first football coaching guest is with us now, Coach Scott Hughes from Fairview High School. First of all, welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you, Murphy.
You guys got off to a little bit of a slow start, 0-2, but since that time you haven't tasted defeat. It's been 6 in a row for you guys, and undefeated in the region. That's got to be where you'd like to be. But what's the main reason you think from that slow start turning around as it has?
Well, I think it takes a little bit for us to figure everything out as a coaching staff, and then we had some players get healthy. Sure. that weren't healthy. And our first game was against Page, who has a very good football team, and they beat us up. We lost a few kids in that game, which hung us over for the next week. So I think getting healthy and us coaches figuring out where the best spot on the field was for certain athletes. And I think we've got it figured out now. Now it's just the fact of staying healthy still. So,
sure.
But I'm real pleased with where we are from where we started. You know, the goal was a region championship, and it's still attainable even though we started the season so slow.
Chris, you coached, a lot of people may not know this, but you coached at the middle school there in Fairview about 12 years before you took the job at the high school, at Fairview High School, in your 7th year now, I believe. And at that time, there had been some lean years at Fairview High School, and the question is, how did you turn things around, whereas now we think of Fairview as a perennial winner with high expectations every year? How did you change the mindset and develop that winning attitude back in the program?
I can remember when I started, and the easy answer is we've just had some really good athletes come through, and we've coached them up, but they've made the plays on the field, you know, and we were lucky to have a really good talent pool coming through, and the expectations started building, and then I think that's what does, just like losing is a tradition. I think if you can build a winning program, then it's important you continue. When we started 0-2, a lot of the old players were like, hey, you know, don't let this slide, you know, the wrong way. But one of the big things with getting that was, you know, establishing that we were, you know, the expectations are high. I can remember our first year, Terry, we were picked to not win but 2 games when I first started, and nobody thought we were going to be very good, and we went 6-4. And I was toast of the town for 1 year, and then the next year, you know,
pressure
now,
was on, right?
Yeah, now I mean, heck, if we go 9-1, 8-2, it's a bad year.
6-4 didn't cut it.
6-4 is not good. But I like that because I told my kids, I said, sure. I expect to win every game. You should expect to win every game, and we got to do it. And we have a little saying that Fairview can only be beat by itself. Because if we do what we're supposed to do, we should win most every game we play. And the kids have bought into that. We've cleaned up the penalties and the turnovers, and that's how you lose ball games in high school, just not taking care of the ball, making penalties that are mental mistakes, those type of things. So,
Chris, when you mention the name Bethard in Williamson County, people immediately think of BGA because they've had a Bethard at quarterback for 7 years now. We had Rock Batten on the show 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he knows he's been very blessed to have some really great signal callers. But this year at Fairview High School, you've got a Bethard of your own, a first cousin to all those guys, and he's been quite the impact player as a junior. First of all, what has he meant to the program? And then mention some other names too, because I know you've got a returning quarterback and some other people that have really made the Jackets go this year.
Well, First of all, our Beathard is not a quarterback. If you ever seen him throw, we try to run a trick play with him. He's not a quarterback. What he is a gifted athlete, just like the rest of the Beathard family. Good people. Love his dad, Jeff. And Jake has fit in great in Fairview. It was basically a round peg that went in a circle hole. It was a good fit for both of us.
Wow.
But he's came in and made a huge impact. He's taken the pressure off some of our other guys. He's an explosive playmaker with good speed. And he's helped us on the offensive side of the ball and a couple of games on defense. But mainly he's a ball carrier, and we count on him, to make some big plays. He's helped our scoring. We got a quarterback, Hunter Zimmerman, who's been a 3-year starter.
I was going to say, if Jake had been a quarterback, he would have had a hard time replacing Hunter.
He would have, but we're open. Best man wins the job. But in all kidding aside, Hunter's been great for me for as long as I've had him, and he knows what I'm doing. He corrects my play calling. He knows our system as good as I do, and it really makes it good because I've had him for so long. And Ben Buttry on the defensive side is a huge linebacker who plays really well for us, plays hard. And then Hunter Caldwell, was our star running back coming back in this year, has really found his stride the last few weeks and really stepping up and really playing hard on both sides of the ball. He had an interception, fumble recovery, 146 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns last week. So Jake had a little injury, and Hunter picked up the slack and ran with it.
Wow,
And,
that's great.
Yeah, he's really stepped up. Josh Ortiz, linebacker that's a junior, over 80 tackles already, and just all over the field, a little bowling ball. I got Mike Allstott at fullback, and think of that, and just not as tall. And he's just a hitter. He does the big things. And Sammy Sanborn playing wide receiver for us. He's good at linebacker. We've got a lot of kids contributing on both sides of the ball. And we've got some good young kids that are developing. We just need to close that gap for our depth. And I think we're getting there. We've had to play a lot of kids who probably thought this year, I'm not going to see much varsity time. But yet, due to some things happening, and we always tell them, you're one play away. Be ready.
You hate to see injuries crop into the lineup, but at the same time, it can be a mixed blessing.
It's helped us find some kids that weren't on our radar. And now they're permanent fixtures.
Yeah.
And that's what you look for, the kids that make the most out of that opportunity when it's given to them. And I feel like this year our kids have really stepped. The last 6 games, they just have a refuse to lose attitude. And it's contagious.
Chris, Friday night's a big night at Fairview. Camden's Lions come to town. Both teams undefeated in the region. After you both got off to a slow start, but here we are, undefeated in the region, and arguably the regional championship at stake, along with that #1 seed. What's going to be important? Tell us a little about the Camden team, and what's going to be important for the Yellow Jackets to come away with a win.
Well, we've told our guys all week. Coach Jackson said it. I've said it's championship week because the winner of this game is the region champ, regardless of what happens in the next week. So it's on the line. It's one game for the title. The problem is Coach Blow has a pretty good Camden team who's coming in a little bit, people overlooking because of their record. They played some really good talent. They played a tougher schedule than us. They played some hard-nosed teams that's got them ready for the playoffs. You hate to lose those games in the regular season, but if it gets you ready for playoffs, it's okay. They got a running back named Deshaun Brown that I hope we have somebody that can tackle him.
Camden's always had a great running back.
And this one is no exception. He turns 1 yard, 3 yards, 70 yards. We've got to bottle him up. If he gets loose, I've got nobody in the open field that's going to make a play on him. His speed is excellent. They got a tall quarterback, little receivers, O-line, D-line that fires off the ball, playmakers on both sides. It's a typical Camden team where I feel like, we have a chance is we're both coming in with that same, the urgency and on a roll. It's just going to be who makes the most plays this Friday night. I definitely think we can play with Camden, but if we don't play our A game, Camden will hand us our hat at home, and that's not going to be a fun thing. So our kids have bought in. We've had a good week of practice. I'm hoping it'll apply to Friday night.
Coach, we've got about a minute left. Tell us very quickly about your coaching staff, because a football team's only as good as the staff, not just the head coach.
It's better because of my staff, because I'm like Bobby Bowden. I'm a figurehead. I do a lot of the Coach Michael Jackson's our assistant head coach. He comes up with our game plan. helps with the offense and defense side of the ball. He's up top telling me, hey, this is open. Coach Chris Butler, our defensive coordinator, our defense is really strong right now, and it's a no-name defense. There's no superstars. Ron King's been at Fairview forever. He's our special teams coach. Got a great young kicker named Jeffrey Perez. In a few years you're going to hear about. He's a sophomore right now, soccer player. Hit a big field goal to win a game for us this year, and he missed one to lose a game. So he's been on both sides of the coin. And then I got a good freshman coach named E.J. Gunner who works hard with them, Coach James Long, Zane Davison, and Brian Mike. A lot of local guys that went to Fairview who have that sense of community and pride.
That makes a huge difference when those guys have got black and gold running in their blood anyway, right?
It's huge. And I have 3 or 4 coaches I think will be great high school head coaches that I hope never leave. I've told some of them if they decide to take a head job, let me know. I'll be there assistant. They can stay here. And I feel that way. I think Coach Jackson and Coach Butler are super coaches, and it will be a steal for them to get a job somewhere else. But I keep my fingers crossed, and I pray every night I don't lose them. Coaching staff that I have now is incredible. I have Darren Kennedy at the middle school who coached me last year. So our feeder program is building up. And Murphy, our junior pro, has great coaches.
Awesome. That's great.
We have coaches up and down the line. Our community has been very fortunate to have great coaches.
Chris Hughes, the head football coach at Fairview High School. They kick it off at 7:30. On Friday night at home against Camden, the region title on the line. I'm planning on being there, so y'all play well. I don't want you to ban me from coming. If
You've
you
been bad luck, Murphy. I had the coach ask me to tell you not to come. Find another game to go to. But we'll try to win this week.
I appreciate it. It'll be a fun night. Thank you very much. We're going to take a look at some highlights from Lipscomb and Hillwood, and we'll be back with more of the high school sports page brought to you by the Burns Insurance Group right after these messages.